You're listening to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WYBC.
WCYTV.
Here on the Daily Signal.
Hey, good evening and welcome to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on the Daily Signal, nationally syndicated first on 93 WYBC. We've got a lot of breaking and developing news to get into, so without further ado, D.C. District Court Judge James Boasberg. We talked about him last night because he was revealed, according to several documents in the recently exposed FBI Arctic Frost investigation, in which Biden ordered the DOJ and the intelligence services to keep track of and tap the phones of several Republican members of Congress, track a lot of conservative and independent organizations because they may have mentioned the word Trump and didn't put is evil in the same sentence. So now that James Boasberg has been identified in these documents, people have done a little digging and have found that this same guy who's been giving a lot of grief to the Trump administration now as an activist judge in D.C. also signed off on a gag order for AT&T to keep the company from letting their customers know that the Federal Bureau of Investigation was tapping their devices. By the way, this in and of itself is an illegal and blatant violation of the 2 U.S. Code requiring the Senate to be given notice of any collection of its data or communications. Private, public, federal. It is required that you give senators of the United States notification that their communications being collected. You say, hey, Tony, how come? Why do senators need to be alerted? You guys do realize that senators hold and maintain a lot of very secure national documents that maybe shouldn't be getting out to the general public? And if you can actually get into some of the private behind closed door meetings of the Senate, you can, maybe pull a Nancy Pelosi and Elizabeth Warren, do a little of the old insider trade and shuffle. Maybe you can alert the enemies of the United States about things in advance. Very, very illegal. By the way, the same law also requires courts, this is according to Sean Davis over at The Federalist, to quash subpoenas demanding collection of Senate data upon a motion by the Senate, which is exactly why James Boasberg issued his illegal gag order. He knew that if the Senate was notified that Jack Smith was running around trying to tap Ted Cruz's phone, that they would have immediately shut that down. And so James Boasberg said, no, don't you let the Senate know that we're spying on political opposition. Don't you let them know this is Watergate times 30. And so he issued a very illegal gag order. So what does this mean? What does this mean? It means that James Boasberg is very likely to be the first federal district judge in a very long time that is likely to be getting impeached. So, of course, here's Senator Ted Cruz yesterday calling directly for Boasberg's impeachment.
I am right now calling on the House of Representatives to impeach Judge Boasberg. Judge Boasberg put his robe down, stood up and said, sign me up to be part of the partisan vendetta against 20% of the Republicans in the Senate. That is a dereliction of duty and a violation of the judicial oath. And I want to thank Chairman Grassley and Chairman Johnson for pursuing this tenaciously like a dog on a bone. We are going to get the answers of every person who signed off on this abuse of power, and mark my words, there will be accountability for these zealots who wanted to corrupt the Department of Justice and corrupt the judiciary in order to try to attack their enemies list.
Now, I want to make this clear. We have on record from Chuck Schumer, not just a general soft-handed admission, open bragging that Democrats had endorsed, had voted for, confirmed, judge after judge after judge to be used as political weapons, not the statue of justice holding the scales up high, blindfolded in order to ensure impartiality. Absolutely not. Of course, over in the House of Representatives, which is where the judge would need to be impeached from, Representative Byron Donalds of Florida leading the charge over in the House. He is one of many in the House of Representatives who are likely to bring, again, the first federal impeachment of a district court judge like this in at least as far back as I can remember. Not that I'm some encyclopedia of all of the times that federal judge has been impeached. Here's Byron Donalds.
You should know. Number one, I think it was Judge Boasberg was the judge who signed off on all this stuff. He needs to lose his seat as a judge. Right. That needs to go. Number two, they need to be called into Congress. But the third part is, because Congress will happen, we'll do that stuff. The Department of Justice is really going to have to go through this. And if there were criminal violations, they have to be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. This is worse than Watergate. As much as everybody wants to talk about Watergate and everything around Richard Nixon, this is significantly worse.
The last district court judge that was impeached was G. Thomas Porcius Jr. He was impeached by the U.S. House of Representatives in March 11th, 2010, on charges of accepting bribes and making false statements under penalty of perjury. He was then convicted by the U.S. Senate and removed from office in December of that same year. Before that, Samuel B. Kent, District Court, Southern District of Texas. He was removed in 2009. Before that, Walter Nixon in 89, Alcee Hastings, Mississippi, and then Florida, and then Claiborne of Nevada in 1986, and then Halstead Ritter, and we're not going to keep going back, 1936, District of Florida. I don't think we've ever seen a district court from D.C. In fact, no, we haven't. Samuel Chase, Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, was impeached in 1805. That's about as close as we've gotten. So right now, what you are seeing is a very serious, and what I would say is going to be breaking the dam, because if Boasberg can and should be impeached, there will be others that follow. And this is likely to happen in the next midterm year. This upcoming election is going to be a bellwether for the way the country is going in some of the more purple and blue areas of the country, followed by the biggest midterm election, a chance for a major upset, or probably one of the greatest fumbles that the Republican Party could muster. It's going to be one of the two. It's either going to be really, really good or really, really bad for either party. Now, this brings us to what other people around the country are concerned about. Breaking news. Governor J.B. Pritzker, top 10 most wanted in Golden Corral's employee management room posters. J.B. Pritzker, governor of Illinois, he is very, very worried about ICE. Why? Well, because tomorrow is Halloween. Now, if you haven't connected the dots on that, I'm going to be real with you. I haven't either. So hopefully he can, and I'm not joking. I haven't watched this clip yet. Let's hear him.
Children and families, black and brown people, U.S. citizens, hardworking parents. In essence, you are targeting all of us.
Okay, what does that have to do with Halloween?
It's un-American, and we cannot stand for this. I will not stand for this.
You can't say he won't run for this because he can't run anyway.
I want to now speak directly to Greg Bovino. Mr. Bovino, your operation has sown fear and division and chaos among law-abiding residents in our communities.
I like how he says residents. He doesn't say citizens.
If you are unwilling to cease operations and leave our city, can we at least agree that our children should not be victims, especially on Halloween? Can we agree that there is no imminent threat that should disrupt their holiday?
What? I'm sorry. Is ICE going to be out there going, "Hey, kid, what are you doing in this patch?" "I'm waiting for the great pumpkin." "Well, you're coming with me, kid." That's not happening. This is like like saying, check your kid's Halloween candy. You never know if you might, open up your Reese's cup to find a Lockheed Martin missile on the inside. Get out of here.
No child in America should have to go trick-or-treating in fear that they might be confronted with armed federal agents.
Hey, producer Nick, remind me what major city resides in Illinois famous for gun violence around Halloween?
The only one I can think of goes by the lovely name Chirac.
Is that Chirac? Survey says? Yeah. Then in fact, yes. In fact, ding. That is a 100% Chirac situation. So we're moving on very, very quickly here. The other issues that Americans are genuinely concerned on, based on polling data, the economy is starting to become less of a concern for Americans by the polling data. It is being replaced by safety in transportation. We're going to talk about that on the live stream. Radio crew, we have to send you to the commercial. Don't go anywhere. It's the Tony Kinnett Cast here on The Daily Signal. Now, yes, boys, girls, and squirrels, it's absolutely true. After Gavin Newsom assured us that California granting commercial driver's licenses to illegal immigrants was totally fine, it's totally safe, it's low in calories, it's like a super wonderful thing, yada, 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 all this stuff. It just so happens that there were multiple accidents in which individuals who are illegal immigrants into the United States, illegal aliens, given commercial driver's licenses, which federal guidance says, no, don't give people who can't read or speak English commercial driver's licenses. The signs on the road are, in fact, in English. That Americans really don't care for seeing the brutal accidents from these drivers, the manslaughter, on TV every single week. And Department of Homeland Security head Kristi Noem is actually out here targeting what Americans have been saying for a while, kind of a big issue for him. Here you go.
Now, through our 287G partnership that we have with the state of Indiana, we have run an operation recently which has allowed to hundreds of arrests that has brought people in that are breaking our laws. Through that partnership, 223 illegal aliens have been arrested and taken off of our roads. Of those, 146 of them were drivers. That includes 46 semi-truck drivers and another 82 of them that were either box trucks, buses, moving vans, vehicles such as that. The CDLs that were issued to those individuals were issued from over a dozen different states. Many of those individuals could have been licensed in a state somewhere and received their CDL in another state, but overwhelmingly, these individuals have come from sanctuary states such as California.
Oh, wow, I'm so surprised. Oh, wait, I'm not surprised at all. Those who harbor those committing illegal activities do, in fact, export more individuals committing crimes based on those they are given sanctuary for. Yeah, it's called a permission structure. It's called a given pathway. And Americans are not, in fact, going to tolerate that. The idea that it's going to spook Americans to see police officers pulling over semi-drivers. I've never heard of anyone driving down the interstate, seeing a semi-truck pulled over, saying, oh, gee, I sure hope they're okay. After all, we all know semi-truck drivers are known for their safety these days. No, I've never seen that once. And it's not going to start now. So the pearl clutching on that line, I don't really think that, I'm not buying it. But that requires basic math skills. Meanwhile, the Democrat Party at the national level, I do enjoy that this is, in fact, news of the day. Representative Jasmine Crockett is, I'd say a pretty good representative of kind of Dem math at the moment. Here you go. Jasmine Crockett. She's out here. She's mathing.
They know how to get rid of the filibuster when they want to. I am not telling them that they need to or whatever, but I'm just saying. Right now, they want to say, oh, it's the Democrats that are holding us down when, hell, we ain't been able to do much of anything, right? Because we don't have the numbers. But now they're like, oh, it's the Democrats' fault. It is not. It is not. I mean, you understand what the numbers are. You were supposed to be able to count. And part of counting is also making sure that you understand when you got to negotiate. You don't have 60 in the Senate. That means you have to talk to the other side. Guess what? Joe Biden didn't have 60 in the Senate either. But guess what? He never had a government shutdown.
So you're admitting that Republicans voted to keep the government open and keep benefits rolling through. Because even though he had control of certain parts of Congress, he still had cooperation.
So for all the talk about Joe Biden being senile, Joe Biden being incompetent, and all the other nonsense, I just want to remind y'all that in the last 4 years, you did not endure a shutdown. In fact, this is the shutdown president. That's the only thing that he is very accomplished at. And listen, nobody can beat him at it, okay? When you run the tape on him, this is what he does. And as far as I'm concerned,
she's losing her train of thought. It's really funny.
And these are words that he has shared with us before.
Beautiful. Well, we're going to let her continue. It's the Tony Kinnett Cast. We're going to swing by and pick up the radio crew from commercial. Be right back. Welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on the Daily Signal. It's good to be back with you. There's a lot to cover over the next couple of minutes, so we're going to try to keep pace. Right now, the entire country is focused on SNAP benefits with regard to the federal shutdown. So for a hot minute, everyone was really concerned about the troops and federal workers, which, yes, it is very, very important to make sure that individuals are paid when you're talking about the operation of things like air traffic control, maintaining safe travel, making sure that our troops are paid. And the Trump administration kind of bent around trying to find different ways to allocate certain finances to ensure that the troops and federal workers were paid. And you started seeing all of these various threats from Democrats in order to stymie and stifle temporary funding of various measures like funding the troops. You will remember that in the funding the troops bill that went to the Senate, that it was John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock, the two Democrat senators from Georgia, who broke away from Schumer to vote to advance that bill. It didn't go all the way through. Democrats still ended up blocking it overall. Now we're getting around to SNAP and food stamps, food assistance, whatever it is that makes you most comfy calling it. And Democrats are trying their rootin' tootinest to kind of keep their image afloat by just blatantly lying about where the government shutdown's coming from. So we have a clip from Chuck Schumer. For those who are watching online, i.e. those who aren't tuning in via podcast or radio, I have on the screen kind of cropped in the ratio that Chuck Schumer experienced as the Senate minority leader for posting this. So for those who don't know, a ratio on social media means that there are more comments calling you a goober than there are likes on your tweet. So more people are giving you a hard time than supporting you. Here you go. Chuckles Schumer giving it his Sunday best.
On Saturday, for the first time in American history, a vicious, heartless president is cutting off food stamps to hungry children, elderly who can't afford enough food to feed themselves, veterans who are down on their luck, all because he wants to use them as hostages so that Democrats will stop fighting for people's health care.
Do you hear how insane this sounds? I can't be the only one who hears just how insane. This is some conspiracy level stuff 3.0. This is bonkers. So Republicans are trying to hold Democrats to a shutdown rule to not fund health care so that people will starve, so that other people won't get health care, so that billionaires will be taxed so they won't be taxed. And that means that if you carry the one and Tuesdays in June, then it's all Trump's fault. Yeah, that's 30,000 replies and just over 5,500 likes. And by the way, as far as individuals who are not citizens of the United States receiving SNAP benefits, which they're really not supposed to, Producer Nick, I think you have a couple of statistics on this one for us.
An analysis by the Economic Policy Innovation Center has found that in fiscal year 2023, so quite a few years ago now, approximately 1.764 million non-citizens received SNAP benefits.
What? No way! So it's amazing. Every time you were told, oh, no illegal immigrants or non-citizens are receiving health care, that's just conspiracy theory. Then it comes out they're receiving it. Oh, they're not receiving SNAP benefits. Then it comes out they're receiving SNAP benefits. Oh, they're not receiving commercial driver's licenses. Then it's they're receiving commercial driver's licenses again and again and again and again. And on ad nauseum. Now, this brings us to the rest of the Democrats who are struggling with this. We could talk about, for example, Representative Janelle Bynum from Oregon's 5th. Also, just so dumbstruck by the mental gymnastics that Schumer performed that she can't even recreate it on TV. Someone didn't read the script. Someone didn't study the assignment, and they were asked to give a book report. And this just, I mean, I feel bad for her a little bit, but in the way that I feel bad for Michael Scott in The Office. Like, it's the same kind of cringe. Here you go.
They did have a clean CR vote on September 19th in the House. Did you vote for it?
I disagree with your characterization and want to make sure that we're very clear about what Republicans have been doing. Any bill that they've put forth, they've always had some extra stuff to it. There's always been a poison pill to it. So I disagree with your characterization.
What were the poison pills of the clean CR or the continuing resolution? You say it's not clean, that was voted on in the House in mid-September.
Here's what's important. I think what you're trying to do is shift the responsibility to Democrats.
She's doing the airline stewardess. We're going to shift exits on your front and left. Under your seat is a flotation device. I'm going to need one here in a second. I disagree with your characterization. It's riddled with poison pills, arsenic, killing puppies, and of course, the Cracker Barrel rebrand. That's what the Republicans stuffed into the bill. And she's like, okay, well, what are some of those actual poison pills? She's like, I think what you're not understanding. She's doing like aerobics 1980s moves. It's like Gavin Newsom if he were athletic. Go ahead.
I think you're messing up your line in this conversation. Can you rephrase it so that I can say you're characterizing me wrong?
This wasn't the script that my staff gave you. And outside of politics, or I should say desperately trying to find her way back into politics, Kamala Harris is back, baby. She's out here to defend truth, justice, and I guess discounts on wine at Kroger. She is out here ready to go, and she's going to do two things. She's going to talk about SNAP, and she's going to complain about the ballroom that Trump's building. Here you go, Kamala Harris, man, on Jon Stewart's show. She's ready to go, and she's got all the bad words lined up.
Are you fucking kidding me? This guy wants to create a ballroom for his rich friends while completely turning a blind eye to the fact that babies are going to starve when the SNAP benefits end in just hours from now?
Babies are going to starve. She has not called. Again, if this is so important that if you actually believed people were going to die, and I mean this, if you seriously in your heart, as a senator, you believed. John Fetterman, by the way, is a great example of this. He says, look, if we really believed that people were going to die, genuinely pass away from starvation because the SNAP benefits were cut in November, then don't you think you would say, okay, we're going to agree to open the government for this, and then I guess call Republicans super stinky cheesers, I guess. Anyway, no, I can't let you jump in, producer Nick. Kamala Harris has got to finish, man. This is crazier rant than Kanye ever gave.
Come on. So what? I'm not going to be distracted by, does the guy have a big hammer? What about those babies?
I don't care if the man has a big bleeping hammer. I don't know. Is that a euphemism? Can someone in the comments help me out, another producer? Is there like some kind of Trump hammer story that we're referencing? Is the other like, this is my new hammer. It's not a Stanley. It's not a Milwaukee. It's a beautiful handcrafted hammer, and I'm going to use it today. Like, I don't care if he's got a big hammer. Ma'am, please, there are children around. Stop it. Please. What about the children? Beautiful. Incredible. 10 out of 10. I'm thoroughly enjoying this. Radio crew, we're going to send you off to the commercial, but the SNAP benefit meltdown is something to behold as well. We'll talk about that on the live stream. It's the Tony Kinnett Cast. Guys, I'm going to level with you. Those people who are getting ready to expect a SNAP benefits ending, there are essentially two kinds of people. There are those who genuinely do, in fact, need SNAP benefits, who I have seen not actually making videos about themselves threatening to loot stores. And then there are people that, I'm just going to say it, looking a little large in charge Marge on SNAP benefits, just a little Pritzker-esque, as they say. I mean, I'm not going to say that they've ever been in classic literature, but They Call Me Ishmael would be a great way to introduce yourselves to them. They are threatening that if their SNAP benefits get cut off, they never post these videos from the job site. They never post these videos from work. But anyway, there's the summer of love is going to be replaced. The fall of gluttony, ladies and gentlemen. Here you go.
If they don't want to put food on our table, then we don't need to be putting no money in their pockets. Effective November the 1st, Thanksgiving is canceled, Black Friday is canceled, Christmas, as well as New Year's Eve. And please do not forget tax season as well. The first opportunity you get to go to HR, please go and make sure you file exempt all 2026. Do y'all realize how much
By the way, you would exempt the latter half of 2025, wouldn't you? You're not paying taxes for 2026 in 20. I'm sorry. It's unfair to hold her to standards.
You're not paying
like
taxes, period.
We can crumble the system if we...
You don't pay taxes on food stamps.
That's what I was so confused by.
Stop spending money for an entire week. Better yet, an entire month. How about starting November the 1st, y'all? We stop paying mortgage. We stop paying rent. We stop paying all of our bills. Who gonna come and evict us? Because the way that they laying people off, and if the people just go ahead and walk off the...
Wait, they're laying people off? Who are they laying off? What does the EBT program have to do with being laid off? Okay. All right. But another. We're gonna keep on going here. There are a few to get through here. These are all exciting. I'm very, very excited for the responsible just protest that always is cropping up around these times.
You know what we don't need? More videos of people saying, you know what? We don't care. We don't care that you're not getting SNAP benefits, that you're not getting EBT or food stamps. We don't care. We get it. We get it. You are a demon.
I've been called a cyborg, half cyborg demon before, but just a straight up demon. No, thank you. I don't sacrifice children to Baal.
Soulless demon. Go do that in private. We don't care.
Go do what in private? Pay for my food?
Like you don't care. We don't care that you don't care.
Again, I just can't help but notice that the individuals who need to be on SNAP, who I, by the way, have no issue with making sure that there are people who need to eat can eat. Absolutely. The people that really need SNAP benefits don't often make videos of themselves in their finest attire telling me how evil I am because, I don't think that looting is the answer.
And when people start stealing because they're cutting food stamps, I'm going to just look the other way.
Oh, no, because you were definitely going to not look the other way before. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell y'all straight up like this. I just got that text that the link is definitely cut the off for November. Y'all better stay the out of my way in these stores. I'm walking out with carts and I'm not paying for Trump, if you want start looting, what's gonna happen? Before my kids go broke in this like Jock, I'm gonna be stealing like it ain't no tomorrow. I am going to go in that store, get...
All right, that's enough. We're going to swing and pick up the radio crew from commercial and then actually get to some real news and what Trump actually did this week. It's the Tony Kinnett Cast. Don't go anywhere.
This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast. There are a few real things that are actually going on in the world right now, believe it or not. One of them that Trump is actually responsible for is managing major international negotiations regarding China, regarding the Indo-Pacific, actually managing how certain things that are going to affect the imports and exports of the economy amid growing geopolitical tensions between the United States and China and the Chinese hegemony and their former Belt and Road Initiative partners. Now the entire global trade system that China had kind of been the hegemon on during the Biden administration is flipped on its head. There are major things going on that we're not hearing because Schumer is having a meltdown in front of the cameras over SNAP benefits that he's trying desperately, no one's believing him, he's trying desperately to claim that he totally didn't cause.
Over to Virginia Allen, our senior news producer, who's been following a lot of Trump's Asian adventures. Are you dead tired?
I feel like the president should be more tired than I am, but I don't think he is. I think reporters are way more exhausted than Trump is. And I don't know if the man slept at all, because last night it was like 10 o'clock at night, our time. And the president has just continued tweeting through the night in Asia time, or not tweeting, but truthing. I have no idea if he slept at all this week, maybe an hour.
Well, he's, of course, been powering through a large Asia trip, several legs on it. A lot of news that's, believe it or not, desperately crucial for our audience live right now. This is one of the things I want to have your expertise on, because we're over here yelling about SNAP benefits and Schumer throwing a fit in front of the press and Hakeem Jeffries also throwing a fit in front of the press. But there are some really major implications of Trump and the meeting with Xi that a lot of people don't seem to know what to make of this. Give us a breakdown of kind of what was heading into this meeting and then the meeting itself.
Right. Yeah. So the number one agenda item was that of trade and specifically focused on the tariffs. So the big news takeaway there is coming out of this meeting with Xi, Trump says that tariffs on imports into the U.S. from China, they're dropping by 10%, going from about 57% down to 47%. That's, of course, a large sum. Still, though, 47% is pretty high, and I think represents the fact that China is not the U.S.'s best friend, per se. So there's still that trade tension there to an extent. But some of the big takeaways from this meeting, the things that Trump was very clear, he put out a Truth Social post shortly after this meeting. One of the big issues was soybeans. China has been a major purchaser of soybeans from U.S. farmers. And so far this year, only in the past recent days, China made one big soybean purchase from the U.S. Until then, there really was nothing. So according to President Trump, she says that China will again start buying soybeans from the United States. Also on rare earth minerals. That was
where I'm going.
Yep. I may be getting ahead of you, but let me just run through this real fast. I think it's helpful to hit kind of these big issue items. Rare earth minerals, lots of tension there. China. About 70% of the world's rare earth minerals come out of China. This is a big deal. These things go in smartphones, in your smart TVs, like all the stuff that we rely on. We need these rare earth minerals. So China said, okay, don't worry, we're going to keep giving you those. Fentanyl, this is a big issue. I spoke with China expert Gordon Chang before Trump's meeting with Xi. He said fentanyl was the number one issue he's going to be watching because the precursor chemicals that the cartels use to make fentanyl, those flow out of China to South and Central America. She said, hey, we're going to continue to work on cracking down. Now, Gordon Chang told me, China said that before, so he doesn't have a ton of confidence that anything is necessarily going to change. And I think that's one of the big takeaways from this meeting. Trump is celebrating this. He says in his words, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the highest, this meeting was a 12. The president is obviously very optimistic about what came from this meeting. And nothing is in writing. These are verbal agreements. And China, as the president knows, cannot be trusted. And so time will tell in the coming days, weeks, months, if China actually makes good on these promises.
That's one of the reasons why I was quite happy to hear you mention the soybean issue, then flowing right into the rare earth mineral processing. This is the thing a lot of people don't understand. They say, wait a minute, well, if if Greenland has rare earth minerals, if Alberta has rare earth minerals, and they list a bunch of our allies or even places in our own country where rare earth minerals are abundant, well, then why aren't we putting all of our efforts into there? Ah, my friendly, sweet summer child. You don't just dig semiconductors out of the ground. You don't just go mining and, today I panned out of the river a 343 circuit board. No, you don't do that. You have to process those materials. And that, shout out to DuPont Manufacturing, that's a dirty, dangerous business. And when it comes to dirty, dangerous businesses with no concern for human safety, you want to dunk a child in a vat of acid, China's your place to do so. And so their processing of rare earth minerals is huge. And also a lot of that is
90% of rare earth minerals are processed out of China.
90% of rare earth mineral processing in China. That is bonkers. You couple that with the soybean industry, because China imports all kinds of soybean for oil processing as well. Argentina and the United States are the big exporters. A couple more here and there. So for Trump to go in and try to negotiate 2/3 of the wedge in this China agreement, that really puts the South Korean agreement, the Malaysia agreement, the Kuala Lumpur peace accords. This becomes a really heavy piece of multinational economic news that, again, I'm looking through. Your coverage over at the Daily Signal is still probably some of the most thorough that I've seen. And that is, no offense to you, that's unfortunate. This is something that we should have seen ages ago. This is the next decade of the global economy, bar none.
Yeah, well, and Tony, it's so critical. I think that you mentioned and really hone in on that rare earth mineral issue. Trump also talked about, kind of in the next breath of his Truth Social post, issues related to energy. And, while China is this big energy provider, And yes,
slapping up coal plants like we do Dollar Generals, of course.
There is a level to where in the immediate future, it makes sense to maintain to an extent that relationship. It's also critical, and Heritage Foundation experts have pointed this out time and time again, including in the piece that I wrote, talked to Heritage Foundation energy expert Diana Pritzker-Roth, and she said, yes, this is great, and the U.S. cannot slow down on our own energy production. We need to be tapping into all of our energy resources that for so long the far left environmental groups have blocked time and time again. But to your point, the U.S. is going to develop those energy sources, mining of rare earth minerals, all of that in such a more clean and sustainable way than anything that China is going to be doing.
This is the key reason why it all does come back to energy production in the Trump administration. We've talked about this on the show. It seems like we're tying that in. It's not artificial. The energy issue really affects absolutely everything. And a new economy of a president is not just built on whether or not the stock market rises and falls. It is based on whether the United States adds abundant new energy. Anyone who tells you otherwise is fibbing. Virginia Allen, senior news producer, thanks for taking a moment for us.
Thank you, Tony.
All right, welcome back to the Tony Kinnett cast main side of things, where we've got a little extra stuff that's coming to the forefront regarding Virginia's reporting. Kind of a little shock we had to come in on it this quickly. Radio crew, we got to send you to the commercial on this side here. Actually, no. We'll send you to the commercial in a second. I'm not ready to send you to the commercial. You got to hear this first, because Hakeem has now come out, Hakeem Jeffries, the William Shatner of Obama impersonators, has now decided that the Trump administration brokering a pretty roughshod deal, boxing China into a corner here, is somehow Trump being punked by communist China, which is a stance. Look at this.
It appears to most reasonable observers that Donald Trump was punked on the world stage by the Chinese Communist Party.
So getting the Chinese to abandon their plan to import soybeans from Argentina instead of the United States, committing to a soybean order with the United States as a verbal agreement. Again, that's important for a number of reasons. And simultaneously saying, okay, you open up soybeans, we will open up rare earth minerals, lower the tariffs a bit. If that's being punked by the communist government of China, I mean, I don't even have a joke for that. What?
The notion that Donald Trump has created all of this trouble for the American people, which he has. The Trump tariffs are raising costs on everyday Americans by thousands of dollars per year.
Okay, this right here, this tiny snippet from Hakeem Jeffries would have been a far better attack strategy against Donald Trump in February of 2025. If the Democrats were going to run with that strategy, that one right there, it would have been effective in February of 2025. But I said at the time they have a problem with this, because up until that moment, Democrats had supported protectionist tariff policy in the United States, just really poorly managed tariff policies. A bastardized version of Bill Clinton that didn't get more rational but got more insane. So Hakeem now, here, a week before the off-year 2025 elections, now he's criticizing the tariffs right after the rate drop from the Federal Reserve, right after the tariffs have shown not to add a bunch of inflation, right after he lowered tariffs on China. This is the moment? Who is your comms director? The sloth from Zootopia? All right, now radio crew, you can go to commercials so that you can consider Hakeem's words and what they mean to you as an American. And if you're not that slow, join us over on the live stream. It's the Tony Kinnett cast here on the Daily Signal. Now, my favorite part about Hakeem Jeffries criticizing Trump for being punked by communist China is that Hakeem Jeffries just endorsed, he just endorsed an actual radical communist to be mayor of New York City. Don't take my word for it. Here's Zoran Mamdani in a new TED Talk style video about he's going to nationalize housing in New York City.
Go further toward the Vienna model, we'll have to go beyond the market. We can establish community land trusts to gradually buy up housing on the private market and convert it to community ownership. We can give tenants a right of first refusal to buy out their landlords when buildings go up for sale. And we can fully commit to a new era of social housing, ending subsidies for luxury housing development and using our wealth to build beautiful, high-quality social housing projects that offer good homes and strong communities to everyone.
Great Russia has forever united the indestructible union. Sorry, little Soviet Union anthem gets stuck in my head there. Yeah, that's just communism. We're going to buy up the housing, and if you don't sell us the housing, we'll sue you and arrest you. And then we'll freeze the rent. And everyone will be happy and amazing. Screw laws. That's who Hakeem Jeffries has endorsed in this election. There is a Democrat running in that election, being Andrew Cuomo. So, yeah. Trump got punked by the communists, did he? It was Trump, who, not the leadership of the Democratic Party. Okay. On other equally fun and exciting good hoot news, I should mention that regarding the energy independence conversation that Virginia and I were having, because we do try to actually stay ahead of things, everything comes down to the United States producing more energy. Everything. Period, bar none. Well, here's the Senate voting 52 to 45 to open up energy production in the United States. Senate Resolution 80, a joint resolution of the disapproval of the rule submitted by the Bureau of Land Management. Okay, boys, girls, and squirrels, let's talk rules. Rules are laws that are passed by federal agencies. So under a rule, the federal bureaucracy, the alphabet agencies, get to decide how you live your life. Now, Congress is supposed to do that. But when Congress got really lazy and decided instead it would be a lot more fun to, like Hakeem, release rap videos or be like Katie Porter and abuse your staff. Yeah, there's a lot of fun things you can do. But in the meantime, Congress does have the authority to overturn these rules. Now the Senate is actually doing so. It will pass the House, and that is going to result in the National Petroleum Reserve being developed essentially through pipeline and construction in Alaska. The things that Biden totally said he had opened up and didn't, just a big freaking lie. Now that's actually going to begin. So energy production in the United States, actually lowering energy bills, which creates industry, which lowers the cost of transportation, which lowers the cost of food. Common sense stuff that we all understand. Beautiful. Now, in a couple of seconds, I do want to point out that we're going to get into some of the best, most entertaining stuff that I have seen in politics in a very long time. I have saved it for the end just for you. So we got to pick up the radio crew for one last commercial break return. Don't go anywhere. It's the Tony Kinnett Cast here on the Daily Signal.
It's the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
All right, for a little closing time end of show news for all of y'all out there, there's some really funny stuff. Tomorrow is Halloween, or St. Hallows Eve, or All Hallows Saints Eve, trademarked Platinum Plus, or Trunk or Treat, or Autumn Festival. Either way, tomorrow's Halloween. And there are some celebrations afoot. So one of these is President Trump with the trick-or-treating at the White House. You may remember in his first term, there was a kid that came up to him in a minion suit, and Donald Trump bewildered like, "What the heck is this yellow bubble coming up to me right now?" And you may remember, as the kid came up to him, he just sets the Hershey bar,
it's so good,
on the kid's costume, and then it falls off. It was a great moment. Trump
the first lady just trying to be polite and to make sure that the kid actually gets some candy as well.
So we remember that, and people were posting it because tonight I think is the trick-or-treat night at the White House. Yeah. And so Nick, you're gonna have to tell me who is the kid, or there's a streamer that has like the marshmallow for a head.
Yeah, he's a DJ for EDM.
He's a DJ, that's right.
What is EDM house DJ?
There's an X in the name somewhere,
Marshmallow.
isn't it? Just Marshmallow?
Well,
I've made up the X's. There's no X's in the name Marshmallow, so I'm trying to figure out.
He does cooking videos as well.
Cooking. Okay, great. Well, there's a kid dressed up as this streamer, and he's got a marshmallow.
His eyes are X's.
Oh, yeah, okay. So he's got a marshmallow on his head. And Trump, I tell you what, here we go.
I was in a...
Oh, no, that's Kamala. That's even worse. Here we go. So the kid walks up with his sack and says, "Hi, Mr. President." And Trump just... puts the candy bar on top of the costume again. And then
the kid is quite impressive. The candy bar stays flat.
He's like, "Get out of here, kid." I'm sorry. I love it. I think it's great. It's fun times. In other really hilarious news, His Majesty, or whatever, the King of England, the man to whom my tea is ever to be thrown in the harbor for, according to the royal statement from Buckingham Palace, His Majesty has formally initiated the process to remove the style, titles, and honors of Prince Andrew. So Prince Andrew is no longer the brother of the king, right? Brother, not just an area, brother of the king. No more royal titles for him. He goes from Prince Andrew to Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, which has got to be the most stick that kid in a locker name in existence. He also says his lease on Royal Lodge has to date provided him with legal protection to continue in residence. So there's like legal drama over in the United Kingdom. I love how obsessed with their little titles and things. But I would be a count. Would you rather be a count or a duke?
A duke.
You'd be a duke? I like it. I think count just kind of has, it's the thought that counts and it's the count that thoughts thinks,
I haven't thought much about feudal hierarchy for a bit.
Count von Dracula did not have a castle because he's Dracula, but because he's a count. Little historical fact from Transylvania. He's a count whether he's a vampire or not. Yeah, Van Helsing was trespassing. There you go. A little fun, not so historical fact for you. I do want to get to one clip that had me rolling today. So, Cat Vuvuzela, or, Cat Abigabanzo.
Gesundheit.
Bless you. Cat something, this left-wing journalist up in Chicago running for Congress because I don't know why she thought she should run for Congress. Young progressive, blonde. Remember my little rant yesterday about how women on the left often no accountability whatsoever? So when they're asked by a C-SPAN reporter, very, very, very simple questions like, "Hey, didn't you vote for the shutdown? And you're claiming there are all these poison pills in this Republican continuing resolution, but where are these?" And then, these particular Democrats then say, "Well, I don't know what you're talking about."
They did have a clean CR vote on September 19th in the House. Did you
remember that kind of accountability, lack of it? Well, Cat Vuvu Abba Gonzalez, she had a really rough moment on an interview with the reporter. Remember, Cat Argable, Kansas. She was charged by the federal authorities because she impeded an ICE vehicle. She tried to interfere with a lawful arrest by federal officers. And so she's being charged for it. She got really, really mad about it. And so she came out to do some media thinking that's going to help her. And, well, then this happened.
The indictment alleges that you and others, quote, surrounded a federal officer's vehicle, banged on its hood and windows, etched pig on the side, and impeded movement. Did you etch the word pig on the side of an officer's car?
Oh, I didn't even know she was accused of that. Oh, vandalism is... Remember yesterday when I said it would be helpful for her to tell us what the charges were? Okay, let's see how she answers this.
I'm not speaking to the specifics of anything that's in the indictment right now, but like I said, I do plan on pleading not guilty, and the evidence will come out in court.
You know what the easy answer to that is? No. That's an easy one. Pretty simple stuff.
And, I plan on winning. Okay, well, let's watch the video of what happened that day that they are...
There's the crime. There's an allegation. I haven't really looked close enough here. I don't think the video is clear enough for me to make a ruling. They say when you zoom out, you can see the vandalism on the side of the vehicle.
But when you see that, what do you think right now? Tara, once again, this is my first time being federally indicted. Like I said, I plan on pleading not guilty. The evidence will come out in court, and I plan on winning. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah. Just really quickly, I did want to ask you about just the fact that, conspiracy to impede an officer is up to 6 years in prison.
She's talking to nobody. Just, she flew the coop.
Forcibly impeding and intimidating an officer is up to 8 years. Is that, that could actually hinder your ability to serve in Congress? Are you concerned about that?
Cricket.
Did she just sign off?
Yes, I love it. More of this, please. More of this. No accountability. Now remember, yesterday she was bragging in her own little personal video about how strong and brave and fearless and Taylor Swift she was.
My name is Kat Abou-Ghazaleh. I'm running for Congress.
Abou-Ghazaleh. Elevator gastrointestinal. Keep going.
In the 9th District of Illinois. And the Department of Justice is charging 6 people, including myself, with federal crimes for exercising our First Amendment rights near ICE's Broadview Processing Center.
I too remember the First Amendment, where it says freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom to, scribble pig with a house key onto a federal law enforcement vehicle. Remember, that was very, very important. Alexander Hamilton was passionate about your ability to vandalize whenever it suits your political needs, of course.
I believe Madison was the one to say, do your best to chest press a truck.
That's true. Radio crew will see you. We're going to be on the live stream tonight a little bit longer. It's the Tony Kinnett cast. We'll see the radio side tomorrow. I mean, we'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm just going to say, I think that one of the most underrated lines of former President, God rest his soul, John F. Kennedy, was when he said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but write pig on the side of an ICE vehicle." And they were like, what are you talking? What is ICE? What vehicle? And then it was like, "Someone get me Marilyn Monroe's phone number." Just, little U.S. history for you guys. You guys are getting some really great history lessons. By the way, while we're talking about the incredible lessons of history, I really want to give props yet again to Senator Chuck Grassley, who consistently, until his dying breath, has made it his life's mission to expose as many federal agencies and just illegal crap they've been doing for years, just at every single press conference. If you are a Biden administration official, an Obama administration official, I believe every time you hear the word Grassley, you should start sweating. There should be chronic swamp butt for those in the FBI whenever Chuck Grassley strolls up to the podium. So another thank you to him. So much media coverage today. And by the way, one of the reasons that I point this out, the rise in left-wing political violence, again, aided by the investigations of individuals who were targeted by the administration. Individuals like Stephen Miller, Marco Rubio, Kristi Noem have now moved their residences onto military base housing in the United States. This is an article according to The Atlantic, and I really appreciate how ridiculously The Atlantic phrased this. Stephen Miller, Marco Rubio, and others have taken over homes that until recently housed senior officers. And then every Atlantic article, it takes 3 of them to write it. Now, I've co-written articles before. I can't help but notice that every single time an Atlantic piece comes out, they need 3, 4, 5 people to change the light bulb. Is it that hard to write an article these days? I mean, there's more AI, there are more writing tools. I mean, Sylvan offers reading and writing classes for elementary students. Producer Nick?
One to tell the other what to write into Grok ChatGPT, and then the third to take that prompt and turn it into legible article.
So the Atlantic article in question here, whether it's ChatGPT or Michael, Missy, and Ashley, which sounds like a really horrible Disney's Recess spinoff. This crew thinks it's scandalous that the Trump administration officials might need to be in an area with some security. Now, by the way, this does save taxpayers dollars because now you don't have to actually provide individualized security because they are on a military base area. Now, there are housing areas. There's a whole thing in there. It depends very much so on the military base. This is not an expository explanation of how military bases work. But what the Atlantic doesn't seem to understand, and what they don't mention in any explicit detail in the story, is how many times people like Stephen Miller have been threatened with just open murder constantly. Marco Rubio, constantly. Kristi Noem, constantly. And when you're writing an article, why would they feel the need to? They just say, well, the Trump administration, and then they just like put it in this little tiny contextual paragraph. I just don't think they realize how bad this looks. That's the only explanation that I can think. It's the only one. Is there, Producer Nick, is there any other explanation that you can think of?
Well, they phrase it as taken over. So the only angle that I can see from a leftist
it's a housing coup.
Well, they're militarized. Like they're trying to suggest they see themselves as like generals under Trump, and that they need official military homes, and then of course the monetary benefit of not having to pay mortgage and, you know.
I like it. Well, let's return to a true leader here for the end of some bonus tonus this evening. Kamala Harris doing more interviews, excitedly, angrily. And I don't know who, again, Kamala Harris, you are more than welcome to come on this show. We'll have a good hoot.
Please come on the show.
As a Baptist, I can't promise I'll pay the wine bill. But we might release Tony Kinnett cast mugs just for you to drink out of, just for that. You got it, Kamala, anytime. Yeah. Now, the Kamala Harris interviews are going rough. They asked her what on earth it felt like. And when she realized that the Trump campaign had won the election, I wasn't expecting this because the rest of us knew that it was going really poorly for Kamala. The internal polling, the external polling was really bad. Remember, internal polling for Kamala showed that she was getting beaten with a wooden spoon by an angry mother. This is her supposed response, and when she realized it was all over.
I was in a state of shock.
Really? Did you think?
I was in the state of Indiana, personally. I was in a state of shock. As opposed to what? Temporary residence in shock? Passive shock? I was repeatedly stabbing a fork into an outlet.
The day before that you were going to win the election? Yeah. And so when did the proverbial penny drop?
When I got a call from my campaign manager.
She says, talking into her hand, not very joy cometh in the morning, is it?
That it looks like we need 200,000 more votes that we can't find.
I'm sorry. Did you just say we need 200,000 votes that we can't find? I was told that wasn't just good old-fashioned normal campaign rhetoric, like things that they've been saying, we can't find this many votes. I was told that when Trump's campaign said that they were trying to, drag out the Post-it note index cards and like rig the election is what they... Oh.
Phrasing.
Can't find the 200,000 votes.
That it looks like we need 200,000 more votes that we can't find. Meaning it's just the map.
Meaning it's just the map. Like Dora, yeah. If there's a place you gotta go, 200,000 votes to know I'm the map. I love the hand motions here too.
Swipe or no swiping, more votes.
She's painting the map for us. It's very expressive.
Numbers. And the thing I kept saying over and over again, I was in a state of shock. I was so inarticulate, but maybe very articulate.
Have you ever been so inarticulate that you've been very articulate? Yes. I don't know what she could possibly mean there. Maybe I was slurring my words. Actually, maybe every one of my words was incredibly precise and pronunciated.
What I kept saying over and over again is, my God, my God, my God.
Why hast thou forsaken me? I love it when she quotes scripture.
Really?
Over and over. I couldn't stop.
Remember how they said, by the way, there are pictures from this night. She's just standing there watching the TV screen. She makes it sound like she's sitting there on the table, bottle of Chardonnay in one hand, a box of Boone's Farm wine in the other. And that she's just, sitting there repeatedly talking to God, who, didn't believe in up until this moment.
I haven't felt that emotion, anything similar to the emotion I felt that day and for quite some time, other than the grief I felt when my mother died.
Guys, I'm going to level with you. No politics aside for a second here. Just putting all of the politics away. Forget it. No election on this earth at the local, state, or federal level is so important that if you lose said election, you should feel as awful as when losing your mother. Kamala Harris, I unfortunately have suffered through some of her writing or transcription or her biographical musings, whatever you want to call them. She claims to have been super duper duper ultra close with her mother. I know a lot of people like that. Maybe, you lose your father early on, and so you're that much closer to your mother, that kind of a very intensely close relationship. To then take that and say, I haven't felt that bad since I lost my mother, that's just really disrespectful. So you can't tell someone how to feel about their... Yes, I can. If you think that an election is more important... Now, I'm sure she'll go, well, I was worried for the country, and that is where she goes here.
I knew what was going to happen to our country.
Yeah, see, there it is. You're so full of it. You're so full of it. When Biden